The rain had just started coming down on Main Street. The kind of light drizzle that soaks you without making any noise. People were stepping faster, pulling their jackets tighter, trying to get home before the weather turned ugly. Marcus Hill wasn't in a rush. He stood outside the community grocery store, keys in one hand, phone in the other, rereading the same text message for the third time. It was from his younger sister, Naomi. "Dad didn't sleep last night. Please call me." Marcus exhaled slowly and slipped the phone back into his pocket. His father had been sick for months now, and every call felt heavier than the last. Marcus had learned to carry that weight quietly. That's just how he was built. He was a black man in his early 40s, tall, calm, always dressed clean. Folks around the neighborhood knew him as someone who minded his business, helped when needed, and never raised his voice unless it truly mattered. As Marcus reached for his car door, a police cruiser rolled up and stopped a little too close behind him. The engine stayed running. Marcus paused. Not because he was scared. Not because he'd done anything wrong, but because experience had taught him to be careful. A white officer stepped out. Late 30s. Broad shoulders. That kind of confidence that comes from knowing the badge usually speaks louder than words. His name tag read Officer Ryan Collins. "Hey," the officer said. "Hold up a second." Marcus turned calmly. "Evening, officer. Everything okay?" Officer Collins glanced at Marcus's car, then back at him. "This vehicle matches the description of one reported earlier." Marcus raised an eyebrow slightly. "Reported for what?" "Suspicious activity." Marcus nodded slowly. "Okay, what kind of suspicious activity?" The officer didn't answer right away. Instead, he stepped closer, scanning Marcus up and down. "License and registration." Marcus didn't argue. He reached into his pocket carefully, pulled out his wallet, and handed over his ID. As the officer examined it, his tone shifted. "You live around here?" "Yes, sir. A few blocks over." Officer Collins smirked. "Funny, don't see you much." Marcus kept his voice steady. "I work long hours." The silence stretched. Rain tapped against the pavement. A couple people slowed down nearby, pretending not to watch. Then the officer said it. "Step back from the vehicle." Marcus froze for half a second. "Officer, am I being detained?" That question flipped a switch. Collins's jaw tightened. "Don't get smart with me." "I'm not," Marcus said evenly. "I'm just asking." The officer moved closer, his voice lower now. "You people always want to make things difficult." The words landed hard. Marcus took a breath. "Sir, I'm being respectful." What happened next was fast. A shove. A loud slap. The sound echoed down the street. Marcus staggered back, shock written all over his face. His cheek burned. The world went quiet for a moment, like everything was underwater. Someone gasped. Someone pulled out a phone. Marcus didn't swing back. Didn't yell. Didn't curse. He just looked at the officer and said quietly, "You didn't have to do that." Officer Collins realized too late that people were watching. He straightened up, glanced around, and lowered his voice. "Get in your car and go home." Marcus stood there for a moment, then nodded. He got into his car and drove away, hands shaking on the steering wheel. That night, the video spread fast. By morning, it was everywhere. Local news, social media, group chats. But here's the thing, Marcus didn't post it. He didn't give an interview. He didn't ask anyone to defend him. He went to work like usual. At the nonprofit office downtown where he managed community outreach programs, his co-workers looked at him differently that day. Some with concern. Some with anger. Some with guilt. A white co-worker named Ethan finally spoke up. "Man, I saw the video." "That was messed up." Marcus nodded. "Yeah." "You gonna press charges?" Marcus paused. "I don't know yet." What Marcus didn't know was that across town, Officer Ryan Collins was sitting at his kitchen table staring at his phone. His supervisor had called him in early. The department had placed him on administrative leave. His wife, Karen, stood near the sink, arms crossed. "I told you this would catch up to you." Collins rubbed his face. "I was just doing my job." Karen shook her head. "That's not what the video shows." Collins snapped back. "People don't see the whole story." Karen's voice softened but stayed firm. "Ryan, maybe you need to." That same afternoon, Marcus got a call from an unknown number. "Mr. Hill? This is Lieutenant Perez from the Internal Affairs Division." Marcus closed his office door. "Yes?" We'd like to speak with you about the incident yesterday. Marcus leaned back in his chair. Okay. There was a pause. We want you to know you're not in any trouble. Marcus almost laughed. That's good to hear. When Marcus hung up, he didn't feel victorious. He felt tired. That evening, he visited his father at the hospital. His dad, James Hill, looked weaker than usual, but smiled when he saw his son. Sit down, boy, James said softly. You look like you carrying the world. Marcus sat beside him. Something happened yesterday. James listened quietly as Marcus told the story. When he finished, his father nodded slowly. I raised you right, James said. You kept your dignity. Marcus swallowed. Sometimes I wonder if that's enough. James smiled faintly. Change don't always come loud. Across the city, Officer Collins walked into the station the next morning and was told to hand over his badge. Temporarily, he tried to argue, tried to explain, but for the first time in his career, nobody was really listening. That night, Collins sat alone in his car outside the same grocery store where it all happened. He stared at the spot where Marcus had stood. For the first time, doubt crept in. Not guilt, not yet, but something close. And that's where part one ends. Right before both men's paths are about to cross again in a way neither of them expects. Here is part two, final 20 minutes. No headings. Pure narrative American audience. American slang. YouTube safe. Emotionally powerful. And the main climax lands at the very end. This is written to heal, not divide, and to leave viewers thoughtful, not angry. Marcus didn't expect to see Officer Collins again so soon. 3 days after the incident, Marcus was standing inside a small community hall on the east side, setting up folding chairs for a town forum. The room smelled like old wood and fresh coffee. Flyers on the wall read Community Listening Night. No shouting, no signs, just conversation. Marcus had volunteered without thinking much about it. Talking was his thing. Bridging gaps. That's what he'd been doing for years. People began filing in. Black families, white families, young, old, tired faces on both sides. Then the door opened again. Marcus looked up and froze. Officer Ryan Collins stepped inside, not in uniform. No badge, no belt. Just jeans, a plain jacket, and eyes that looked unsure. The room shifted. You could feel it. Some people whispered. Some stared. A few shook their heads. Marcus felt his chest tighten. He hadn't known Collins would be there. Nobody had warned him. Collins spotted Marcus, too. Their eyes locked for a brief moment that felt way longer than it should have. For a second, Collins looked like he might turn around and leave, but he didn't. He walked in and took a seat in the back row. The moderator, a middle-aged white woman named Linda, stepped forward. Thank you all for coming. Tonight isn't about blame. It's about listening. The first speaker was a young black college student, then a white single mom, then an older black veteran. Stories came out, not yelling, just truth. Hands shaking, voices cracking. When Linda asked if anyone else wanted to speak, Marcus felt the room slowly turn toward him. He stood up. I didn't plan to talk, Marcus said, but I guess I should. He paused, choosing his words carefully. What happened to me wasn't just about me. It's about how fast things can go sideways when assumptions take over. He looked around the room. I don't hate police. I don't hate anybody. I hate fear. Some heads nodded. Some didn't. Marcus sat back down. Then something unexpected happened. Officer Collins stood up. The room went dead silent. Collins swallowed hard. I know most of you don't want to hear from me. No one spoke. He took a step forward. I watched that video 100 times. At first, I kept telling myself I was right. His voice cracked just a little. But then I watched it without sound. He looked at Marcus. And I saw what you all saw. A murmur rippled through the room. I won't justify it, Collins said. I won't explain it away. I messed up. Marcus didn't move. I didn't just hurt a man, Collins continued. I damaged trust. And that's harder to fix. The room stayed quiet. Not forgiving, but listening. After the meeting, people lingered. Conversation started in small circles. Collins stood by himself near the door. Marcus felt every instinct telling him to walk past, to leave, but he didn't. He walked over. Collins straightened. Marcus. Marcus nodded. Officer Collins. I'm not asking you to forgive me, Collins said quickly. I just needed you to know I'm sorry. Marcus studied his face. Not looking for weakness, looking for truth. Sorry is a start, Marcus said. Not the finish line. Collins nodded. I know. A week later, the department made its decision. Officer Collins wasn't fired. He was reassigned. Mandatory training, counseling, community service. No patrol duties for a long time. Some people were mad. Some said it wasn't enough. Others said it was too much. Marcus stayed quiet. Then something unexpected happened again. Collins requested to join Marcus's nonprofit as a volunteer. No title, no authority, just help. The board hesitated. Hard. Marcus was asked privately what he thought. He took a long breath. If we say we want change, he said, we gotta know what that actually costs. So Collins showed up. He cleaned floors, set up chairs, served food, took instructions from people half his age. Some ignored him. Some challenged him. He stayed. Months passed. One night, Marcus's father took a turn for the worse. At the hospital, as Marcus sat alone in the hallway, a familiar voice spoke up. Hey! It was Collins. Out of uniform again. I heard, Collins said quietly. Thought you might need someone to sit with. Marcus hesitated, then nodded. They sat in silence. Marcus's father passed that night, peacefully. At the funeral, the church was full, black, white mixed. When Marcus stood to speak, his voice was steady but heavy. My dad believed people could grow, Marcus said, even when it was uncomfortable. He paused. And growth don't mean forgetting. It means choosing better. Marcus's eyes drifted to the back pew. Collins sat there, head bowed. After the service, Collins approached.